So I saw the trailer for this several months back, so I've been aware of it for a little while. And I was just kind of like, well, this looks bad. Yeah, I mean, the whole kind of idea of this is it's just poor conceived. It's like there's a germ of an idea in there that's really good, but it all depended on execution. And the way that this was executed was very, very basic and mid, and it just kind of all falls flat. Hello and welcome back to the Film Custodian Show. I am the Film Custodian and we are back here in the garage. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And today we are talking about the Last Voyage of the Demeter. Or Demeter, as they all seem to wanting to call it. Whatever, the Demeter is a lot cooler. The Last Voyage of the Demeter, based on a chapter in Bram Stoker's Dracula, literally just a chapter. This stars Liam Cunningham you'll know him from Game of Thrones, you'll know him from Dog Soldiers. You know, he was the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones, right? It's like, well, sir, Your Highness, I don't know much of such matters. I'm a smuggler. I know about smuggling, and I have no idea that there is a vampire in the decks below. But I'll have you search the cabins and, well, the entire ship. Perhaps it is onions. Also, you have Corey Hawkins. Corey Hawkins is sort of the star of the film. He's a doctor. He's an educated man, as Liam Cunningham says, and he does, you know, really good, I guess. I mean, he's fine in this film. Everyone does fine in this film, but I mean, I haven't seen him in anything else. But I can definitely see that in another film he could be really good. This film also stars Aisling Francisco. I think I'm saying that completely wrong. Whatever, it's this woman. And I was like, you know, I kind of remember her face. Her face is really familiar. And yeah, it's because she's from The Nightingale, which is a super hard film to watch. It's a tough film. It's a very well directed film. It's directed by this lady. It's a very tough film to get through. Basically, it's just imagine all these horrible things that could possibly happen to the main character. It happens to her, but she gets through it. It's a really good movie. I recommend you go check it out. So basically, the plot of The Last Voyage of the Demeter it's an adaptation of the Captain's Log chapter in Bram Stoker's Dracula. And so the entire idea is that, you know, the last voyage of the doomed voyage of the Demeter is basically because Dracula's on board. This is the ship that Dracula, he gets himself, he sneaks, and doesn't sneak on board, but he has crates delivered, the crates of dirt from his home country that he sleeps in, wakes up in the middle of the night, runs around killing off the crew one by one. And it kills everybody on the ship, and then the ship crashes in England, and then you get the rest of the story of Dracula, and it's like, so you want to make a movie out of this small little section, and then it's been billed as, you know, like it's alien on board a ship, you know, and so like, you know, Dracula's basically, it takes place with the alien, and then you have, you know, everybody trying to find him. Okay, I could see what they were trying to do. I could see that they had a decent vision for that. But, I mean, there's just not enough here. I remember when I saw the trailer for the first time, I'm like, well, where's he gonna hide? You know, he's clearly down below. And I mean, is everybody stupid? Apparently they are, because the crates all have like a dragon on them. I mean, it's like, so there's no tension too, because it's literally The Last Voyage is in the title. If you know anything about, you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you've read the novel or you've seen the films, like Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola is a freaking amazing movie. Go watch that film. But I mean, it's like, what are they gonna do? Well, you know, we searched the ship. We couldn't find anything. And then night comes back, somebody else gets killed. And then, well, we searched the ship. And then we kind of, you know, wait around and do some boring dialogue, exposition and stuff. And then, you know, and then Dracula comes out and kills somebody else. I mean, it's just very, there isn't a whole lot here to work with. And they could have done something more interesting with it if they had spent more time kind of fleshing everything out. Actually, this would have been a great opportunity to do flashbacks. Let's learn about all the characters, flashbacks, you know, back at home, back in England or wherever they're from, and we see flashbacks. I mean, the woman on board has a really interesting backstory, you know. It's like, well, my village has basically had we've had a pact with you know, we call him Dracula, and we've had a pact with him all this time and whatnot. And the reason that she's even on the ship to begin with is because she was a sacrifice by her village. Like, you know, like, okay, we'll make a deal with this thing, you know, we don't know what this is. You know, we'll sacrifice this woman to go off and, you know, Dracula can basically use her as a blood bag, you know, reference to Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road, really good movie. I should do a review on that. So, you know, she's sort of, you know, so that Dracula can just kind of feed off of her. But that would have been really, really interesting. You see flashbacks of all the characters so that when you come back to the present moment on the Demeter, it's way more interesting and you're way more invested in what's going on because really you don't care about any of the characters. You don't care. They're all going to die anyway. I mean, it's like, well, so what was the point? One thing I will say that this movie excels at is the makeup and just the design of Dracula. I mean, it's really cool. He's got like wings and whatnot. And actually, when you start from the beginning and you go through the film, Dracula really starts out as like kind of like, you know, skinny. He's kind of shriveled up and very weak because he needs blood, right? And as the film progresses, the makeup progresses as well. He gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So eventually, he has like a wingspan and everything. It's really cool. And actually, the design is, to me, it really is like it's a callback to, you know, Count Orlok and, you know, Nosferatu. That was an illegal film made. It's basically supposed to be Dracula, but they didn't have the rights to it. They just sort of illegally made that film, and it's a silent film, in the 20s, I think. I saw it. I mean, it's boring as hell, but at the time they had it was very striking imagery, right? It was like because it hadn't really been done before, and film was still very young back then. I mean, film's only been around, you know, a little over 100 years. It's still a very progressive art, meaning that, like, I mean, we're still figuring it out. It's not like painting that's been around for, you know, millions of years and whatnot. Filmmaking is still a relatively new art form, and it's still going through the process of figuring out what's possible and what's not possible. There is some striking imagery in this film as well around Dracula. I mean, like I said, the design is fantastic. Everything involving Dracula is pretty great. But, you know, I mean, and then just the atmosphere of the film, as it is. It's very gothic. It's very, you know, there's mist surrounding everything. It's really cool, and that's fun. But it all takes place in a very just boring and dull film. The music is also great. Barry McCreary, who did the soundtrack for Black Sails, which is an excellent TV show. I recommend that wholeheartedly. Go watch Black Sails right now. It is a fantastic show. It's fantastic. You should definitely go watch that instead of this film. This film is like, I mean, even if you're like a hardcore Dracula fan or whatever, it's like you're not really going to get much out of this, except that, yeah, the makeup looks really cool. And there are some genuinely striking and freaky parts, but I mean, not a whole lot. The action itself, you know, you want blood and gore and Dracula ripping throats open and stuff, and you get that, but it's very, very tame. This film really didn't need to exist anyway. I mean, I get it, you want to have Dracula running around on the ship killing everybody. I mean, this film would have been better served if you just do it all in one night, right? It takes place in one night, and as this really long night is happening where Dracula is slowly but surely killing everybody off, you do flashbacks, and you could see everybody, you know, what their stories are, and then you kind of flash back to them doing, you know, very much like a Nolan film, like don't have like some pulsating music. This would have been a really great movie if you did it that way. But again, there's not much here to work with. So as I'm leaving the theater, I'm like, well, what else could they have done? It couldn't have been any better than this. But I mean, what I just came up with was a lot better, right? Do some cross editing, make it more complicated. What they ended up with was something with little imagination, with little direction. There's not really a vision here, and it's just, yeah, I mean, none of it really works. It just all kind of falls flat. And this film has been a little bit of history. It's been in development hell for years. I mean, this actually was the original guy that, and I believe he gets a story credit here, who thought up this whole idea. Was there was a guy who either worked on or saw Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one I talked about, Francis Ford Coppola's film, and was like, yeah, that one small little scene where you kind of covered the Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is only like 2 minutes in that film. It's just seeing Dracula, you know, run around, kill everybody, and everybody dies. right? And they're like, yeah, let's make that into an entire movie, and it'll be like Alien, man. It'll be like Alien on a boat. Sounds pretty cool, but again, the way that it's executed, the way that it's written, it just does not work. This was a very like safe, very dull way of doing it all. And I keep going back to like if you had done this film, like it all takes place in one night. Dracula's running around killing everybody, and each character you're doing flashbacks, going back. That would be more interesting to me. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. Maybe that would be a crap movie. I don't know. It's a 5 out of 10. It's a 5 out of 10 because the Dracula designs are really cool. The atmosphere is really cool. And, you know, it's if you're like a die-hard fan, I guess, then it's kind of worth a watch. In the same way that, you know, Renfield came out recently and Nicolas Cage plays Dracula. You only go to watch that film if you want to see Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Otherwise, it's really stupid. Kind of the same thing here, actually. They're just not having any luck with this vampire stuff. Go back to Dracula Untold, where they tried to that was like their first attempt at like a dark universe that they were trying to create, where they were going to bring back all the Universal monsters and whatnot. It could have been cool, but that movie as well had some really good ideas, but it's just really dull and boring. So there is going to be a remake of Nosferatu, and it's going to be directed by Eggers! That's right! The guy who brought us The Lighthouse, and The Northman, and The Witch is doing a remake of Nosferatu, and that's... Come on. If it's low budget, he does better with small budget and weird stuff. That could be freaking amazing. That could be awesome. The Northman is pretty good, but yeah, it's like, he's just not... doing epic stuff just isn't the best thing for Robert Eggers. He's better with small stuff. So in conclusion, the Demeter is a 5 out of 10. I recommend it if you really love vampire stuff, like I said. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, please leave me a subscribe, and share the video. All right, see you next time.